Hello, this is Randy Harrington. I spent many years with the MABRC, friends with D.W. Lee, and this grass ball incident was one of many that I questioned extensively because of its truthfulness. And I I ended up leaving the organization in 2013 because of hoaxing footprints and hoaxing storylines, and basically just a lot of fakery and hoaxing for the limelight. So I left. Needless to say, this is one of the incidents, just one of many, that I'm going to lay out some details of. And it involves some grass balls that DW claims was thrown at them in a field. And let's go over the details of this.
I don't know why I wasn't going to go ask him. I didn't want to make him think that I was weird or anything. Now, grass balls. Of course, he thought we was talking about a dance, so he went and got his little skirt on. These actually happened about a mile and a half over here. The family had some sightings, so we went and set out with the family. And the mother kept getting hit and stuff by something. And of course she was sitting there with her cell phone, so she was kind of lit up. And she got hit 3 or 4 times, so her son went over there with the flashlight and was looking. He thought it was a bug flying into his mom because she had that light on her. So he's going to kill it. Well, that's when he noticed that there's these little grass balls laying around her feet. So for the next 40 minutes, we kept getting pelted by these. And we kept watching to make sure, nobody was playing a practical joke and throwing them at each other. But as we were all gathered around where we had them here on this little canvas table, we're all gathered around like this, and all of a sudden one comes landing right in the middle of us.
Darren likes to tweak the story and add details in that wasn't in the original story, like this, where a grass ball was thrown in the center of all of them there. This never happened. But the reason he added this in is because it makes you think it's not a hoax, because you guys were all standing together when a grass ball came flying in, so it couldn't have been a hoax done by anyone in the group. That's why he tweaks it and says and adds additional things to it according to what the audience needs to hear, because he probably got a lot of guff from people thinking it was a hoax.
I sure ain't going to say little people made it, but I will say this. Everybody that was there tried to recreate these grass balls, and nobody could. My grandson was about 7 or 8 at the time, but, even at his young age, with his little hands, he couldn't build these.
Do you see how he adds statements to try to make it more believable? By saying, we couldn't tie these in, we couldn't recreate this. My grandson's little hands couldn't recreate this. I guarantee you nobody tried to recreate it because it's easy to recreate. I walked out into my yard today and made this grass ball right here. Now, when this originally happened, and DW reported that this happened, I had questions. My first question was, you can't throw a grass ball over 15 or 20 feet. There's especially those little flimsy looking grass balls he presented. And I thought to myself, there's no way you can throw a grass ball that far. And it actually came from an incident where at that time, Igor Burtsev was investigating the Janice Carter farm and found some clay balls with some horsehair in it. And me and DW had a discussion about that. So it's amazing that this happened at about that same time where he was presented with seeing some possible Bigfoot activity that involved mud balls, with horsehair in it or whatever, and then he comes up with his own grass balls. But I don't think it started that way. I think he and his wife Bobby were just playing with the lady Debbie, and I think they were just hitting her with these little grass balls that they had made, and then it kind of got out of hand and it turned into a Bigfoot story, because Deb and them might have believed it was a Bigfoot. So it's funny how it may have started out as just something funny that DW was doing, was flicking grass balls at her, because it certainly was only thrown at that distance. I can tell you that. But I asked Darren when he came forward with this story. I said, why didn't you get up? They couldn't have been throwing it more than 20 feet. So why didn't you get up and just walk out into the field? It was a huge open field that they were sitting in. They had four-wheelers, their vehicles, and chairs. And his response to me was, "Well, I'm scared of snakes. You know how deathly afraid of snakes I am. I wasn't going to risk walking out there in that grass in the dark with a snake." And I thought to myself, this was a hoax, because you only throw up the snake reasons for not going somewhere when you know there's nothing there to look at, but you need a reason to not go out there and look, so you say that you're afraid of snakes. This is also the same guy who on multiple occasions makes sure that he says on podcast and says, when he makes posts, "I go in the woods after them. I chase in the brush after them." Well, then why all of a sudden did this time the snakes become an issue? I mean, so you're just going to have to weigh the facts yourself. But I am going to let you see the pictures and see the field that they were sitting in. You tell me, as a logical person, where a Bigfoot can hide in this field, throw grass within 20 feet of them, and you had two young men or a couple of young men with the other family that was there. You could have sent anybody out on a perimeter, just run around the field, just around where y'all were sitting. You could have done so many things. You could have hopped on a four-wheeler and scooted out into the field. You could have flushed something, but your only answer was, "I'm not going out there. I'm afraid of snakes." I'm telling you, folks, this was a hoax. Now, I need you guys to notice how close Darren's wife, Bobby, is sitting to Debbie, because Debbie is the one hit with the grass balls. And when you hear Debbie's version of events, she's the only one hit with grass balls. If you notice in the presentation that DW gave, that I posted before, where he says that the 3 or 4 grass balls were at the feet of Debbie. So it was probably being tossed right in front of her from his wife's chair right there. These little fluffy balls of grass could not travel very far, but they could certainly travel from the red chair to hitting Debbie and landing at her feet, because that's where they were found. You're going to have to listen to Debbie's version and come to your own conclusions, but it was, I think, just some trickery that went awry, and Bigfoot capitalized on things like that. Like when he wrecks his four-wheeler, he turns it into a Bigfoot event. This was just a trick. He was playing games with them, and then it turned into a Bigfoot story, and he just decided to run with it. One of the components that DW keeps saying over and over again about this report is that there were multiple sightings on this property by the family, and that's not true. There was just one possible sighting report by the young sons who were out trail riding and may have saw one by a fence, at the base of this field. That's it. Why he keeps saying multiple family members have seen multiple Bigfoots multiple times. That's because he always tries to add to the story to create, what is not really there.
All right, this is my grass ball experiment. This is because of a grass ball incident that I was somewhat involved with because of the people involved that I know was a hoax. But this is me doing my own grass ball experiments. So I'm going to show you this. I actually took some grass and I tied it together to create a little grass ball. And so I've got two that I tied together. And then I got one here that I added a little bit of extra, and a couple of dandelions are in there. And I use wire to hold it. So it's considerably heavier than just these that are tied with the grass itself. So I'm going to do an experiment of see how far I can throw these, and then I'm going to measure that distance. Okay, so from this line, I'm going to throw the smallest one that's tied first. And that is 26 feet. So I threw that grass ball 26 feet. And it's basically a little downhill slope. So here's the next one that I'm going to throw from this spot. And it didn't even go as far. So it looks like it went about 18 to 20 feet. Now here's the grass ball that is got some more bulk to it, and some dandelions and wire holding it all together. I mean, I would suspect that this would go further, but who knows? Yes, that sailed pretty good. So we'll go out here, and it landed. So here's the first one that was at 26 feet, and then this one went about 3 feet further. So that's the extent of my grass throwing, and the grass was thrown from just right over there. There's a line in. So that's to show you for the rest of this video what I think about the grass throwing incident. See them just because all I have is those fleeting memories of them, and you and Mike too, and we're all getting older, so it sure would be. Oh yes. Sure would be nice to get down there and touch base with you guys one more time, if not more than once. Right. But hey, I was wondering, and I don't want to bug you, but I was thinking a lot about DW, and I haven't, or Darren, and I haven't spoken to Darren since I quit the MABRC, and it made me think a lot about him kind of tricking you guys with those grass balls. Oh,
him ever so often in town, and that's it. The other day, I seen him, and I asked, I said, have y'all been hunting any lately? And he said, no, that he hadn't been out lately, and this and that and that and this. But he still has a big symposium every year down here not far from the house at, they call it the CC camp.
Yeah.
It's maybe 5 miles from here.
I don't think he's offering.
Yeah.
But he's not offering any new content or anything, I don't think.
Yeah, well, you know, I was thinking about that, the guy named Joshua, the Arkansas tracker guy who found those knuckles down there on Lee Creek, and how when he caught DW hoaxing, that's when he quit, and then I quit, and then you told me about the grass ball incidents, and I was just wondering if you can tell me that again, the details that you remember, because I'm kind of vague on my memory of how the grass balls got started being thrown and why somebody didn't walk out into the grass to see who was throwing them.
Well, we were all sitting around just in a big circle, and I was playing on my phone or something, you know, and DW's wife got up and went to the truck and stayed gone for some time. And then she comes back, and there's music playing and all this stuff. And I'm still on my phone, and I feel something hit me.
Not dark.
No, it's dark. And
Dark.
I didn't see them at first, Dad. They I got hit in like my hair, and I kind of, you know, thought it was a bug, so I slung my hair, and then maybe 4 or 5 minutes, well, something, DW, he said, did you get hit with something? And I said, I think there was a bug or something. I don't know. And then in just a few minutes, I get hit again.
So DW asked if you got hit by something?
Yeah.
That's because he was throwing it.
Well, I'm thinking his wife was throwing it.
Wow.
Since she had got up and was gone for some time, we think that she had probably got up and made the grass balls.
Well, did she get in the vehicle, or did she just go around to like use the restroom or something?
We don't know what she done.
Well, she may have already had. They may have already had some made up.
Could have. Well, I mean, she was gone longer than just to use the bathroom.
Okay.
She was gone, you know, probably 10 minutes or so at least.
I always thought it was so weird way back when that happened, and I questioned DW, and I was like, DW, you can't throw a grass ball very far because it's made of grass. It has no weight to it. I said, so that means whatever was throwing it had to be within 15 or 20 feet of you guys. So why didn't you walk out in the grass to see where it was throwing from? And he said, oh, I'm afraid of snakes. That didn't make no sense to me.
No, because he walks out in the woods.
Yeah, he says he chases them in the woods. And so why isn't he afraid of snakes then?
Right.
So the whole thing stinks. And now that I know his history of, you know, of getting caught and me catching him doing stuff, and it's clear that he's done some hoaxing.
Right. Well, I mean, I got hit with maybe 3 or 4 before I got up and started looking. Well, and then one of the boys, I think, got hit by one. And so we got up, and because I said, I know there has to be some right here at my feet, whatever I'm getting hit with.
Now,
and so
The next day, I found several.
we got up and we looked, and we found 4 or 5, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And then he said, oh, there must be something near, and started using his thermal. And then he said, well, look, he said, there's something down by the wood line. You can see that, you know, it's brightened up.
Uh-huh.
And so I thought, dang, whatever it was had to get away quick because, you know, a grass ball. But this grass, I mean, did you ever see the grass balls?
Yeah, they were very loose and just kind of wadded up.
Right.
Like a marble.
And but we went down there the next day and probably found 15 more.
Uh-huh.
That was just scattered around everywhere.
Like misses.
That was misses. You know, like they had tried throwing them and they missed.
So
I wasn't that hard, and I never got hit.
And Mike never got hit once by one.
So
and he was on his phone as well.
So it's almost like let's just say it was Darren and his wife that was doing this on purpose. It's almost like they were targeting you because they needed you to be the one saying, hey, I'm getting hit with grass balls.
Right.
Wow. So
they kind of knew that I believed in this stuff. I believed in Bigfoot and everything, and Mike's skeptical.
Right.
I mean, and I'm figuring that's why they didn't throw any at Mike.
They've asked you to tell the story.
And they've asked me to come and tell the story and this and that and that and this, but I've never been down there or anything.
Never asked Mike.
Man,
They've never asked Mike or the boys to come and talk to or anything.
it kind of makes me mad because, you know, I know you guys, and I mean, you guys are cream of the earth. And Mike and your boys are nice kids, at least, you know, from when I was there, and it kind of makes me mad. It makes me mad that he would hoax you guys and just play a trick on you guys like that. It's just mean.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, that's
But
too
I
bad.
mean, my boys, they still swear to today that they seen one step over the fence and walk in the woods.
So, but yeah, so clearly I absolutely believe that your boy saw one. That's how you guys even got introduced into the subject.
Right.
Yeah.
It was ironic. We had went and ate at that restaurant and you were leaving. And I asked that lady, I said, who is that person from Kansas with the four-wheelers and stuff? What are they doing with four-wheelers all the way down here?
Right.
And she said, well, he was a Bigfoot hunter. And I said, well, I'm going to leave my name and number and ask if he comes back in, if he can give me a call.
Yeah. It's very fortuitous for me that you got that you were nice enough to do that, because you know, you guys became good friends, and I certainly enjoyed parking my vehicle there and then going on down to Lee Creek. Hell, I remember that time I slept in my Polaris down at the bottom of the hill down there behind y'all's place, where I went down the trail that way. When did Mike, when you guys were done with the grass ball incident, when did Mike bring it up to you that maybe you guys were being tricked?
That night.
So he recognized it that night.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he said, Debbie says, it's kind of funny. You were on your phone and you were the one getting hit. And then other people was on theirs as well, and no bugs or nothing. You know, that was at first. And then after we found the grass balls and stuff, he said, it's kind of funny, you know, his wife gets up, walks away, comes back, and then you start getting hit. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a big red flag.
And before I end this, I'm just going to throw up a few pictures of the shape that DW is in and the people around him is in. He has always been this heavy. He's always been immobile. 30 feet into the wood line, he's having to lean up against the trees to rest. He is not running uphill after these Bigfoots like he claims. He claims all the time, well, I was running uphill after a Bigfoot and run in the brush after the Bigfoot. He's never ran. He's never made it too far into the woods if he wasn't on a four-wheeler. It's just what he says and what he does is two different things. And almost every time he goes out, he has these fantastical Bigfoot stories that creates excitement. He gets on the radio. I saw a Bigfoot crossing the creek. He's always by himself, sees a Bigfoot, and it creates quite the commotion back at camp where everybody starts fluttering around and DW saw another one. I think he claims to have gone out 4,000 times and has had 100 sightings and things like that. But I'm just telling you to put on your smart thinking cap and you look at this and you tell me, what do you think?
For the